Hello and welcome back to the channel. In this video, we are going to create not one, not two, but three different user interfaces of an antivirus app. In a related previous video, we saw how to create antivirus scripts using Python. You could check that out, and today we are taking it one step further by creating three different user interfaces of an antivirus app. So buckle up, programmers, and let's just dive right into it. Okay, so as always, we start off by creating a new Flutter project, and we'll say Flutter create. Alright, there we go. So we create the project, and then we open it in our favorite coding editor. I'll be using Visual Studio Code for this project. You could follow along with Android Studio, but I would recommend using Visual Studio. Alright, so now, let's set everything up. Let's start to create our folders. And so in here, we'll start with the theme, and then we also have features, and I'm not going to be using models and many of the stuff here, but I have a surprise video coming up. And so this is why I am dividing them into a clean architecture-like format, okay? And so we also have core. Inside the call, we'll have commons, and we also have constants. All right. Now, inside a theme.dart, the first thing we're going to do is create a theme.dart file. This will contain all our themes, our dark mode, light mode, where we'll be using the colors. This would be our light mode. And then we also have the dark mode right here. Now, before I continue, this is what we are trying to build, okay? So this is what we are trying to build. This is the first user interface we are trying to build. Right into it. And so inside, I will then say static var light mode, and say theme data.light. Okay. And in here, use material 3 will be set to true, if I can spell it well. And then we'll also have our copy with function, so copy with function, and set the primary color to colors.deep purple. There you go. And there should be a comma. This should be a comma as well. All right, so the color we are going to be needing would be white color, which will be colors.white, and then maybe a blue color. We'll be adding the colors as we go on if we need them. We have your colors.blue as well, right? Now, inside the features, let's just create our new features. We have home. In there, we'll have screens. There, we'll have a file called homescreen.dart. Of course, we will import material.dart. Then create a stateless widget, actually a stateful widget. Go back to main.dart, clear all this. We don't need everything here, so clear all this. There we go. And in here, we'll have the home screen. It doesn't have any name parameter inside it. And so we'll be removing that actually. Remove all this, and we'll be theme dot. Not, there is a theme inbuilt in Flutter, and so not. You'll be confused. Let's just name this palette, right? And then see palette.light mode. Okay. Now let's just run our app. As the project runs, now let's see what we have to build first. And this is an app bar. And so this is what we're going to do first. And you can see that the body of the app is scrollable. So we are going to be using a single child scroll view for that as well. So let's just get right into it. As our app boots, we just close this off inside this scaffold. We have an app bar, and as you can see before we have a drawer as well, which is just to achieve the desired UI interface, and we'll have a title. Next, I'm going to put Creed Antivirus there. We close this. Then you're going to have actions. And actions is going to be a custom button. And this is a custom button I'm going to create myself because we may be needing it in other areas as well. It will have a onPress function and text. There we go. Inside the commons folder, let's go ahead and create a elevated button.dart. For now, let's just comment it out. To avoid any compile time error, we import material.dart with the stateless widget and call it custom button. It's just going to be an elevated button and on press, which we are going to accept from the constructor. And then we also have child, which will be text accepting that from the constructor as well. We will have final void callback on pressed, if I can spell on press well. And there we go. There will have final string text as well. We have required this dot on press and required this text. And let's start a little by seeing style and elevated button dot style from a minimum size to be const size, where we have here to maybe 40 and 30. Okay, so maybe let's just increase the width to 50. All right, there we go. And our app has finished loading. Let's see what we got here. So we got a blank space here. And then let's remove the debug sign there. So we'll just say debug show check mode banner and set it to false. Let's give a hot restart for all our changes to be saved as well. So we should be seeing an app bar, and there we go, looking great. And so let's come back and import our custom button. And for now, it is going to be an anonymous function. We'll have the upgrade here, looking great. And there we go, looking very, very great. You could give the text some style. Let's see font size to maybe 14. Maybe let's just bold it and see font weight dot bold. And I think this looks perfect. So let's just continue. And the next thing we want to do this right here. Alright, so continuing with the body, let's get out of the app bar, but inside is scaffold out of the app bar. Yeah, but inside the scaffold, we'll have a single child scroll view, which has a child of. Padding, well actually, we won't be using padding. Let's just go straight up and use a column. Inside we have a children. And the first thing we will have is a container, and we will set the alignment to alignment.center. And we will give it a height of 400. And don't get confused here. This is what we're trying to do here. Okay, so it's obvious that the child will have a circle avatar and will have a child in it. Text, which will be scan, and let's increase the radius to maybe 100. And let's see what we got. Okay, looking great. I think I would like us to change the color. So we'll see the background color will be theme not true, but off context dot primary color. That's what we got, and this is looking exactly like this, but I want the text to be more visible. So we'll have a text style where the color will be palette.white color. And there we go. Now remember, we are getting these colors from the palette class we created here. Let's go back to the home screen and let's see. Looking great. And the next thing to create is this little text here saying scan to detect threats. And let's see, there you go. I think a little space is warranted here. So you have a height of maybe 20. There you go. And let's just constant everything. And so that clarity is achieved, there we go. It looks like everything is working perfectly. Okay, so we are almost halfway through. I think what is left for us is to design this part. Let me see if I can find a proper image for that. There we go, something like this. Yep, there we go, something like this. And so let's get right into it and start designing it. And so, out of this column, inside the first column, we have another container. We have the height to 400 again. We also have the alignment to be alignment.center. Then we'll have a decoration. We have a box decoration. We have the border radius, not border, but border. Radius to be border radius dot only. And from the top left, we'll have radius dot circular to be 15. And then on the top right, we'll have the radius.circular to be 15, looking great so far. Let's just add a color so you can see the effect. And so in the box decoration, we have our color. We have it to be the theme dot of context dot primary color. Let's check what we have. There we go. Looking great. Looking awesome already. Now we just have to create this. Now I see that this whole part of this is a whole section. So it would be prudent for us to divide it into a whole widget so that we can make our code more readable. So let me just const it. And then inside the home, I actually have a new file, and I'll have a new folder and call it widget. And inside the widget, I'll just call it a row section. Yes, I'm very bad at naming. And with import material.dart. So we'll create a stateless widget and call it row section. There we go. And then we'll have a row. And let's analyze this a little. As you can see, I have two containers in a row and another one in a row as well. And so inside the row, we have our children. The first thing we have is, it's a container. We move the const to get rid of the errors. Then let's see what we have here. And we could say the height of this container is 80. The width, 150 maybe. We could tune it whenever we find that we need to do so. And then the child would be a column. Because when you look at this, we have an icon here, then a text here. So it will be inside a column. So the first thing would be an icon. For now, let's just put anything there. So let's just say settings, and then a text saying clean RAM. What else do you have to do? So I think let's just wrap this in a circle avatar, and then we'll copy this whole thing again and do the same. Now let's see what we got by coming back to the home section. Now inside the container where we should have a child, right? So inside the container, in the child we will have a column, children, and our first thing will be the row section. And let's see what we have. And there we go, looking great. I think I want the background color of inside this, the container inside the row section. The color should be palette dot. Let's import palette. So palette dot white color. And there we go. I think adding a decoration will be prudent. Yes. So let's add a box decoration, then give it a color. You see your palette dot white color. Remove this color to avoid any errors. Also give it a border radius of border radius dot circular 15. There we go. Looking great. I think the same should be done as well for this. And looking great. But I also want my main axis alignment to be space between so that there is space between the two containers. And there we go. I don't want them at the edges as well. And so inside the primary container, I think, padding will be most useful here. And if you've watched my other videos, you know, I like using symmetric. Vertical of 10. Let's see what we got. There we go. I think horizontal will also be good here with 15. And they are looking great. I think the width is too much. And so let's come back here inside the row section. Increase the width to 120. There we go. Remember, we have to do the same for this as well. This is looking very great. I think the horizontal space between should be more, let's say 25. So they are a little closer. Let's just do it 35. And we are good to go. All right, this is very, very good. So let's come back inside the row section. Let's add another row section. All we have to do is add a sized box, height of 20. And this is looking very great. Guys, we are almost through. You're having a very nice user interface of an antivirus app. But I want these things to be dynamic. I do not want them to just be clean RAM. And so we'll go back to the row section. And first of all, we would have final string text 1, final string text 2. And we have final icon data, icon 1, and final icon data, icon 2. Of course, we will accept them. We generate constructor for these, and then replace this with icon 1. Replace this with text 1, and do the same here as well. We'll replace this with icon 2. And we replace this with text 2, and I come back to the home screen. And let's get rid of the errors. Text 2 is going to be junk files. Icon 1 is going to be, let's see, what icon we got? Bookmark. So icon.bookmark and icon 2. Icon 2 is going to be icons.speed. Okay, for convenience, let's just copy this and place it here as well. All right? And for now, let me just const this so that I can make it very clear for you to see. And then here we'll have antivirus scan and file detection. We'll have an antivirus scan. Here we'll have file detection. And in there we'll have icons.analytics. And here we'll have file copy, remove this const, and let's see what we got. Looking great. So it looks like we are almost through. We just need to do this and we are good to go. This is fairly easy as well. So inside the container again, inside the column, all we have to do is give a space of const size box. A height of 20 would do. And then we'll have a container as always. We'll have a height of say 150. We could increase that later. And then we'll also have a width of 300 as well. Inside the decoration, we'll have a box decoration. Then we'll have our color, palette.white. We also have the border radius circular to 15. And then a child. Out the box decoration, and inside we have a child. Actually, we will go with a list tile here. Inside the list tile, the title, it's going to be an icon, icons.add. Actually wrap this in a row where we have icons.add, and then we also have a text saying security tip. Let's see what we got here. Okay, now I do not want it to be here. I want it to be in here. And so we'll take whatever we've done here. Okay, so we'll place it inside here, and we just have to remove the const here, const everywhere else, so that we get rid of the blue squiky lines. This is const. And const, and let's see what we got. And it moves here. Guys, it's looking great. I think we are almost done. And this was supposed to be group add, and there we go. And a little space in them wouldn't hurt. We will const size box, and then a width of 20 even wouldn't hurt. All right, there you go. Now, all we just need inside out of the title. Okay, so we'll just wrap the title inside a column. So you could put the additional text there. So in the column, this is the container, const this, get rid of the squeaky lines, and maybe a width of 300, okay? A child is going to be text saying, hey guys, if you love this video, please give it a thumbs up and please subscribe. Alright, I think that's cool. And then we go, make any adjustments you want, like setting alignment to alignment.center. And we could have this effect. We do need to decrease the width if you want to see any effect. And there you go. You could make the text align. Text align.center. And there you go. So you could customize it as many as you want. I think we've been able to achieve the desired effect. Okay there guys. So we've been able to achieve the correct user interface. This is looking very great. And so, without wasting much time, we'll just hop on into our second user interface. Alright there guys. So this is our second user interface that we are trying to build. We are going with the Black Ninja style here. Okay? And so let's just hop right into it. And so we would have to create a new Flutter project as well. So inside your favorite navigation path, type a make directory and we'll say anti2. There we go. So all we have to do now is just navigate into our anti2, and with the Flutter create command, we will be able to create a new Flutter project so that we can kickstart everything. Alright. Our new Flutter project is created, and with the code command, we'll be able to open it in our Visual Studio Code. And just like we did the first one, we'll also be using a clean architecture like format. In here, we'll have features. We also have models. Again, we're not going to be using all this, but there will be a surprise video coming up, and that's why I'm making it into this format. So we have models, and then we also have theme. We will also be having the core. Inside the core, we will be having commons. We will also be having constants. Alright, the first thing we will do is, of course, we have a new folder called Home. Inside the folder, we will have screens, and then our first screen will be the home screen.dart. Then where we import package, Flutter, and then material.dart. And then we'll use stateful widget, and we'll just call it home screen. And the reason for creating a stateful widget is because we are going to have bottom navigation bar here. So for now, let's just have a scaffold. There we go. Now let's switch back to our main.dart. And then again, we don't need all this, so let's get rid of all of this as well. And let's just name it anti2. Import the home screen, remove this as well, and I think we are good to go. Inside our theme, let's create the palette.dart. And after the first video, you're already familiarized with this. So we have colors, we have our themes, the light mode. As you guessed it, we are going to be using dark mode in this one. In the previous user interface, we used light mode, and so we are going to be using dark mode in this one. So we have static, var, dark mode, and then it will be theme data.dark. Come back to our main.dart, remove all this and say palette.dark mode. Okay, so let's just import the palette, and there we go, and now let's run our program. Alright, so now as our program runs, let's just start to set everything up. And so in here, now let's see the first thing we have to do. The first thing we definitely have to be doing is having the app bar right here. Alright, so inside the app bar, we'll have title, and we just have to remove this const here, and say title. And then we'll have a list tile. And the reason for there being a list tile is because we need these two here. There are so many ways you could go about it, like using leading. I just prefer to use list tile so that it could be more customizable for me. And so in here we'll be using leading. And then let's say an icon, icons.settings. And then we also have title, which will be text. And as always, we'll be going with the Creed antivirus. All right, so our main.dart already has the home screen. There we go. Now, let's check. There we go. This is the format we're having. Of course, we've always been removing this banner. Let's go back to the main.dat, and inside we have debug, and let's set it to false. I'm very confident that this will work. Well, the next thing we have to be designing is this part right here, this elevated button right here. And so let's do that. Now, we've already designed it in the first video, so inside the custom, inside the commons, we have custom button.dart. And then we just copy that here, remove this here, and then we just need to import this. And now for the colors, I'm going to be needing a black color, where we have colors.black. We'll also be using a gray color, a variation of the gray color, to be precise, and there will be colors.gray. It'll be 900. And as you saw earlier, we'll also be using the blue color, where we have colors.blue. Awesome. And of course, we would be using the white color, colors.white. Excellent. Good to go. Everything is looking perfect. So inside the home screen, let's come back again. And this was a little oversight by me. We should be creating the bottom navigation bar first, before we even dive into anything else. So a little oversight for me, but let's just fix that. And so inside here, outside of the app bar, we'll have a bottom navigation bar. And inside we'll have a bottom navigation bar. We have an item. The title will be a bottom navigation bar item, where we'll have an item. We have icon.home. Let's just provide a label to be home. Splendid. Just copy this, paste it 4 more times. All right, looking awesome. Let's see what we have. We have here as bolt, and we also have here as masks, and we also have here as profile. And here would be toolbox. Here would be discover, and here will be profile, or just me, and actually here should be icons.person. Fabulous. Let me just const this so that everything looks great, and inside the bottom navigation bar, show selected labels, we set this to false. Also set this to false as well. And the current index will be set to page, which is a variable we are going to create. And so here we have final int page, which we set to 0, and we also have a body which will be screens then page. And they're going to create the screens as well as a list of widgets titled screens, and not widgets, but widget. And then the last thing we are going to do is have an onTap function, which would have an index as a parameter. And using the setState, we assign the index to the page, and this does not have to be final. Fascinating. Let's just const this as well. I think we've gotten everything. We also need the onTap as well. Let's go back to the home screen and pick up this app bar, all right? And come back here, post it, remove the const. That's all we have to do for now. And now come back to the home screen. And in here say, first page. Everything is much more visible now. Nothing a hot refresh wouldn't fix. Let's do that. I'm very confident that this will now work. Let's check it out. App has restarted, and we should be seeing home screen. Splendid. So this is what we were trying to build earlier, before we were rudely interrupted by my oversight. So I think let's pick up from where we left off. There we go. All right. So now, as I said, we need a custom button, and we created that already. And so, inside the body, not inside the app bar, but inside the body, we'll have a padding, an edge insets, and you know it, we'll be using symmetric. We have a vertical of 10, a horizontal of 15, and then we'll have a child, which would be a column, children, and then the first thing we'll be having is our custom button, where we have the on press and the text saying get storage. I think a crucial part of an antivirus app is to have storage, or to have access to the storage details. And so there you have it. Now, don't worry, it will shift to the center position. You could use an align here to shift it to the center, but don't worry. As we continue to add the widgets down, it will shift, I promise. So the next thing that we are going to create is this right here. So we won't be using a row section like we did in the first UI. I think a grid view will do perfectly fine. So let's go ahead and start creating that. And so I'll have a container, and we'll say a height of 350 and a child, where we will have our child to be a grid view.builder. The grid delegate will be this fixed cross-axis count, where the cross-axis count will be 2. The main axis extent will be 10, the main axis spacing will be 10 as well. The child aspect ratio will be 3:2, and the item builder will be context. This is just like a list view.builder, and we'll have an index here. Then we'll return a container, also we'll have the decoration and the box decoration, and we will have our height of 100 and our width of 150. And then our border radius, not border, but border radius. Excellent. Border radius.circular to be 15. And let's see what we got, but we wouldn't be seeing anything because we haven't added a child. And so inside the container, we have a child which will be a column. Don't get confused. We're trying to build this part exactly here. And so the first thing we will have is an icon, which will be icons.add. And this will be a small c. The next thing will be a text. I think we'll have another text as well, where we have junk clean and we also have freeing up your storage space. Alright, there we go, and we seem to have this overflow. Let's fix that. So first of all, let's set the item count to 6. Yeah, we'll be using 6. Let's reduce this to 100. And let's see the error we're getting here. Let's set the alignment to alignment.center left, and then this container should be removed. And let's just wrap it with an expanded widget. Add a cross-axis spacing to be 10, and for now let's just remove the main axis extent. And there we go. This is what we have now, but it's not like this, and so let's try to make it that way. The first thing we'll do is add a border where we have our border to be border.all. And the color to be, let's import palette and have palette.black color. And maybe a width of 1.5 will do. The next thing we'll have to do also is inside the decoration, we'll have a color, which will be a palette.gray color. There we go. We need this to be aligned, so inside the column here we have cross-axis alignment dot start, and that will fix the problem. And looking incredible, but I want a little spacing in between each text and each icon, so it could just be easily achieved by adding size box of 10, and there you go. And this is looking awesome. There are certain things we need to do to achieve exactly this. First of all, we need to change the background color, and let's do that now. So let's go to palette.dart, and inside here, we have the copy width and scaffold background color, and we'll have this background color. Splendid! And there's nothing a hot restart wouldn't fix, right? Let's see what we got. And lovely, looking exactly like this. But there's one thing left. Everything here is almost dynamic. Okay, so in here we have memory usage, we have RAM, and so when we come back to our first page, there should be dynamic values around here, and that's very easy to fix. Okay. And so in here, I'll paste this right here. And don't worry, I'll making everything available. And so we come back to our text. So we say icon data. Sorry, we named it app icons. So it will be here as app icons. The next one is subtexts. And that would be here. And then the last one would be text. And all we have to do to fix this error is add an index. Very good. Same over here as well. I don't think we named the first one text. I think we named it texts with an S. And so there we go. Let me just const it and let's see what we have. Excellent. We have dynamic texts in each part of the grid. So the last part we need to be creating is this small storage cleaner here. And so let's just dive right into it. And so in the column, all right, let me just actually add trailing commas to know where I'm at. So in the column, but outside of the expanded widget, let me bring it into your view. There we go. We'll have another container. We'll have a child, but not without us giving it some style first. So we'll have a height. We'll have a height of 120. Let me give it a width of $.infinity. And of course, the decoration where we have our box declaration, have our border radius .circular to be 15. And we also have our color to be palette.gray color. And then we will have our column, then children, and then the first thing we'll have is a list tile with a leading. That would be a row where we have children. And then we have an icon and icons.brush. And then we have a text saying storage cleaner. Let's save that and see what we got. We are having a very great error here. There is a render flow error. And in order to fix it, we need to remove this row. It's not needed. We'll be using title rather. Inside the leading, we will be having an icon, icons.brush, and then for the title, we would have a text which says storage cleaner. All right, excellent. Now looking great. Next thing we'll have is outside our list tile, but inside our column would be a linear progress indicator, and set the color to palette.blue color. Let's see what we got. I wanted to have a little padding, and so I will just wrap it with a padding. And looking great. I think the last thing we'll do is, still inside the column, we'll just have a text saying storage used. And say 50%. And then for visibility, let me just const this so you can see everything, and all the warnings are gone. And there you have it, guys, a very nice, very excellent and awesome user interface of an antivirus app. Of course, your imagination is the limit here. You can customize it as much as you want, but that brings us to the end of our second user interface. So let's just dive right into it and go into our third user interface. All right, so we've created our first antivirus user interface. We've created our second antivirus user interface, and now we're going to create our third antivirus user interface. This also looks pretty easy. We're going to create this and this. So let's just get right into it. So with the make directory command, we will call it antivirus 3, and then we'll navigate to antivirus 3. And there we'll say Flutter create, and there we go, and do not worry, I will be making all of these available on GitHub, and they will be in the description below, where you could have access to it. So now we're just opening it in Visual Studio Code, and we've seen this before. Not to waste any other time, let me just go straight and create features. And inside here, we have our home, where we have screens. Inside the screen, we have a home screen.dart. Import material.dart. Then we'll have our stateful widget and call it home screen. Adding a semicolon, and there we go. Now all we have to do now is go to main.dart. We remove all this boilerplate code. Remove all this code here. And in here we are going to have our home screen. We don't have any name parameter inside it. Great. And inside the features we'll create theme. Inside theme we'll have palette.dart and we'll have class palette. You've seen this before, so this should be a walk in the park. We will have our colors here. We'll have our theme here as well. We'll be using light mode for this one as well. So we'll have light mode. And this should be... There we go. And then we'll have theme data.light. You should be familiarized with this by now. And so all we have to do is come here and say palette.light mode, just need to import it. And there we go. And here should be scaffold. And let's run without debugging. Now we've done this before. As you can see, we would have a bottom navigation bar as well in the second user interface. So I'm just going to copy that and paste it right here. So as our app starts to run, We'll have this here, and let's create the final list of widgets, call it screens, and let's create the page as well, and the onTap function as well. Alright, there we go. Where we assign the index to the page, and we'll have 3, not 4. And from here you see we have home, and we'll call this categories. And this should be cleaning services as well. And here is category. There we go. Alright. And the next thing we need to do is create first page. We will have first page, and then we'll have a category screen. And category is spelt like this. We need to quickly create them. So we import material.dart, and it's a stateless widget. And let's call it first page. Need to do the same for the category screen.dart as well. Import material.dart, and we create a stateless widget and call it category screen. All I have to do is just add another category screen so we don't get any errors and just import them. Refresh the code. I think it's obvious we'll start working on the first page. There we go. Let's start working on the first page, but I do not like that banner. Let me just remove it and say debug. Set it to false. Alright, so let's start with the first page. Also have a scaffold, and don't get confused. This is what we are trying to create here. Alright, we are trying to create this here. Okay, I think this is splendid. Let's start. We have a body. We won't be using an app bar this time. We just have a body where we have our safe area, and in our safe area, we'll have a padding. And you guessed it, we'll be using symmetric, and then a vertical 10, horizontal 15, okay? And now outside the padding, we'll have a child, and then we'll have a column. The first thing we'll have is a row. We have a children, because I want to have this here and this here, which would just be an icon, where it says icons.menu. And then we'll have a text that says create antivirus. And let's see what we have. Looking great. All I have to do now is add a space of width 65. And then the style would be a text style. Font size to be 20. And that would be awesome. And this is looking great. Okay, we did say hi Creed here, but I think Creed antivirus is also great. The next thing is we'll get out of the row. And inside the column we'll have an image.asset. I've already imported this asset already in here. Everything will be made available to you. I'll be leaving a link to the description below to my GitHub repository so that you can have and play with it as much as you want. We'll be using image.png. And let's see. I think I made a mistake here. Assets and not asset. And there we go. Very simple. Let's just add a sized box and give it a height of 20. And now we have another row. Children, and this is just two texts. One is saying phone boosters, and the other is saying see all or view all. Same thing, that is great. And then inside the row, I'll just say main axis alignment, and then I'll just say space between. And there we have it. I think all I have to do now is increase the style. So let me copy this and here, and let me also const everything so that the screen is not all blurry to you. So we say const and const this as well, okay? And looking sharp. Now, what I have to do is to create this. Now you see, this is almost identical. The only difference between them is the messages on top of each other. And so we start off by creating a new widget. And then inside the widget, let's just call it template.dart. In there, we're going to import material.dart. And then create a stateless widget and call it template. Now we'll have to have a container, of course. And then now let's start. First of all, we'll have an alignment of alignment.center left. Then we'll have our decoration. Before that, let's have a height of 300. And then a width of 120 would be good. And then we'll have a box decoration, where in it we'll have our border radius. And I think we've been using 15 a lot. And so let's continue to do so. And then we'll have an image where it will be a decoration image, where it will be an asset image, and then we'll have assets/images. And let's use imgs.png, okay? And then we'll have it fit. I mean outside here, there we go. And then box fit, box fits, dots fits, height. Okay. And so the next thing we have to do is just come out here, outside of the row, but inside the column. We give it a little space, have a height of 20. And then I have another container because we're going to be using a list view.builder and I don't want any render flow errors. And of course, this is not going to be a constant. And so let's have a height of 200. And then let's see, we'll have a child, which is going to be a list view.builder and have CTX and I. We'll be using a CTX and I format here. And there you go. Let's get rid of the errors by adding this. There we go. And then we are going to be returning the template. Let's just use an item count of 3 and let's import the template. So there we go. And let's see what we got. And this is it. I think this is what we got. And that's not what we want. First of all, we set the scroll direction to axis.horizontal. There we go. Now we need to customize the template some more. And so we need to add some margin. I will start with edge insets.only and we'll have from the left, it's a 10. We also have a padding. It will also be edge insets.only, maybe from the left 10 and from the top 10. All right, and let's see what we got. Great. I want to be using, let's see, image.png. All right, this is what I was talking about. It is looking great. Then we need to have a color, okay? And let's set colors to colors.blue. Let's see what we got. There we go. And this is looking great. Almost identical to this. All right, looking very, very great. Now, the next thing that we are going to be having is this text. As you can see, we have junk files and 60%. And so inside the template, that is, it will have a child. So here we'll have a child, and in there we'll have a column. And we say children, and then there will just be text. And we say junk files. Another text where we say 60%. And let's see what we got. Okay, there we go. I guess the only thing I need to be doing here is say cross-axis alignment, dot start. And there we go. They've shifted. And then we just need to change the color. So I mean say style, and then say text style. And we set the color to colors.white. We will do the same for the 60%. There we go. Now we'll be getting rid of the blue squeaky line. There we go. Let's see, and this is looking great. I'm really impressed with this. I think that is it. But as you can see, it's dynamic. And we saw this in our second user interface we created, and the text were dynamic. And so let's try to do so here. And so in here, you need to accept certain things from the constructor. And so for the first thing we'll be doing is final string image URL. So we could create dynamic values, and the next one will be text1. The next one would also be final string text2. And then the last one would be color. Also, I would generate constructor and replace this with image URL. Replace this with text1 and replace this with text2. There you go. Okay, so now let's get rid of these errors. So to do so, we will turn our list view.builder to list view, so that we can get dynamic instances. And so instead of having an item, we would rather have a children. Then we'll remove all this and we will have our template. Great, we will have asset images image.png. Now I won't let you watch as I type all this so that you don't get bored or anything, so I will see you when I finish typing all this. Alright there guys, so I have finished typing all this and let's see what we got. Do not get confused, I just copied this and then change everything here. And so here we go. We have dynamic setup now and looking great. I think the next thing that we'll be doing is this little thing right here. And so let's get right into it. And so inside, we've already created the category screen. And so let's have a scaffold. And let's see, the first thing we have to is have another, we'll have a body. We'll not be using an app bar here. You could use an app bar, but I prefer not to use an app bar here so that you have more options available, so that you could better understand that you have more options when it comes to Flutter or how Flutter works. And so we'll be using a padding, then we'll have an edge insets.symmetric, have a vertical of 10, horizontal of 15. Yeah. You know, I like using symmetric, and then the next thing we'll have to do is, not in the safe area, in the padding, we'll have a child, and it'll be a column, then we'll have a row. And you've seen this several times already. First thing I'll have is an icon, saying icons.menu. And the other thing would be, of course, category. And let's see what we got. And let's const this so that visibility is improved. Let's come back here. This is what we have. I guess the first thing we would do is have a text style, font size of maybe 20, even bold it as well, and we will say font weight.bold. All we have to do now is have a sized box and give it a width of 70. And there we go. Next thing is, we'll come outside of the row and have a text, and it's going to say, select the category according to what you want. There we go. And now we'll have a style, text style, maybe font size to 15. And then I want the color and say colors.deepPurple. I'm not using palette.dart here because, as I said, I want it to be dynamic so that, you have more options when you are coding in Flutter. Let's see what we got. There we go. Then the first thing I do is have a little space in them, okay? And there you go. So maybe not deep purple, but just purple so that we match this here accordingly. Okay, so we are almost done, but this looks familiar, right? Because we created some here. And so all we have to do is also bring what we created here, here, and that is fairly easy. And so let's just come out of it, add trailing commas so we don't get confused. Outside of the text, the first thing I will do is have a sized box of height of 20, okay? And this should be fairly easy. Now considering this, we could use a girdview.builder, but for just this, and in the name of exposing you to more, I don't think it would be convenient. And so I think using our inbuilt widgets will do just fine. We're in here, okay? So we then have template, and then we'll have asset. Basically, let me just copy one of the things we did here. So copy it, and we would have another one. Great. And then outside the row, we will have exactly the same thing. And add this right here. There you go. And let's see what we got. Okay, so let's fix all these errors. So in fixing these errors, we definitely need a reduced height. I think that the width is much wider here, and so let's do that. Let's go back to our template. And the first thing we'll do is inside here, we'll have the height and width properties here. You would understand that very soon. So we have height, it will be nullable, and double width. There we go. And in here we will say this dot height is set to 300. And this dot width would be set to 120, and then assign height here, and assign width here, okay? So what did I just do? Okay, so as I said, we need to adjust in the category screen the width and height of this one and this. Since we are using the same template, it wouldn't be advisable for us to go and create a whole new template just because we want to change the height and weight of this template. What I just did was, the default height and width should be 300 and 120, but if you want to change it, all you have to do here is come here and say height and say 250, do the same for this. Yes, everybody will be getting some. And so, yeah. And here as well, we'll be doing the same for the width, and the default one is 120. we'll be using 150. Everybody is getting a width. And there we go. Now, let's see. Let's save the template as well. And there you go, guys. I think one of them didn't get a width. And let's see who did not get it. This guy did not get a width. And add main axis alignment as main axis alignment.center. And we do same for this, okay? Looking sweet and awesome. As I said, we need to change the colors and we need to make this dynamic, okay? This is very easy. First of all, we would change this to purple. And this will get the blue color. So blue, then we have orange and gray. Orange, and then gray. Okay, so I think everything looks splendid. Of course, you could customize it as much as you want. So I think we have a splendid looking antivirus app. Okay, so that brings us to the end of the 3 antivirus user interfaces we've created. We used Flutter to create all these 3 antivirus. I'll be making all these 3 codes available on GitHub. The link is in the description below, so you can check them out and play around with them as you want. If you have any questions, any suggestions, I would love to see them in the comment section as well. But guys, you've been able to build 3 antivirus user interfaces. And so I did say I had a surprise video coming up, and I do. And so, a tiny weeny favor, so I would like you to of course, leave a comment and please subscribe so you don't miss this upcoming surprise video. I promise the subscription would be worth it, and so please subscribe. So, programmers, I will see you in the next video.